All right. Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning somewhere out there in the world. This is none other than your hostess with the mostest, EVE, on the Face of a Hero show. Yes, I have been in a small, short hiatus, folks, but I know you miss me just as I miss you. So I thank you for joining us today. And I have a phenomenal, amazing hero coming up in just a few seconds. And she is a mover and a shaker and is making things happen in the community, in the region of Northwest Indiana, throughout the state of Indiana, actually. And so, many times we just talk small talk when it comes to healthcare because most of us think healthcare deals with nurses and doctors. But Dr. Regina Beard, she is a registered nurse and she is the owner, CEO of Victory for Kids, Victory for Training. And she's just a woman that is moving and making it happen and being the change that she wants to see, as we all should, right? So, none other than obviously, without further ado, here is Dr. Regina Beard. Thank you so much for coming on this show because you truly, in my eyes, and the people that are watching are knowing that you are a face of a hero because you are a shiro in the region.
Thank you, E, for having me. Thank you very much. I'm very grateful for this opportunity.
And it's actually a blessing to see all the work that you and your team have been doing in the region of Northwest Indiana. And it touches my heart when anyone out there that goes out of their way to say, I have these skills, I have this type of training, I have this type of team. And you know what? The kids need to know, the kids need to learn. So therefore, let me step up and go to first base and hit the home run by teaching these kids all the resources that you have available to them, right? So
Right.
I was just saying, you are a powerhouse, you are a mover and a
Thank
shaker, and
you.
I want to thank you for the things that you do in the community, for the community, but most of all for our youth.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you,
Hands
E.
out to you.
Thank you.
Dr. Regina, tell us a little bit about who you are as a person.
Wonderful question. I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, I'm a nurse, and now I'm an entrepreneur. And I'm looking to make a change in the world, one region, one country at a time.
Amen to that. Yes. And she certainly is doing that, folks. And I want to thank you for our new viewers here today that are watching The Face of a Hero. And Dr. Regina is not just talking it. She's walking it. I have seen her in action. I've seen her team in action. So I can say this. It's not somewhere I read it. It's not a article I read somewhere. I was there and witnessed the fine work that she does with her team with Victories for Kids. And she is a leader in a
Yep.
field that many people don't talk much about, right? But let me ask you first, let me backtrack a little bit from your youth. What made you want to go into healthcare?
It was my father. While I was at Andrean High School freshman year, Coach Bob Busher, he gave us assignment for business class. It was to explore career paths. And my father said, "You're going to become a nurse anesthetist." I said, "Oh, what?" He said, "A nurse anesthetist." I was like, "No, I don't think I'm going to do that. What is that?" So he challenged me to find out what it was. And as I began to learn about it, that became my dream. But life happened. And when life happened, I had to figure out how I was going to pivot. And that's how I
Mhm.
ended up becoming Dr. Regina Beard.
Wow. So your dad was the leader of that path, and you said, "Let me follow it." So was he right in putting you on that path?
He was right. He was very wise and he was very much a forward thinker. And he felt like healthcare was the way to go. Being a nurse answered all the problems financial, the world problems, had somebody to take care of him when he got older. So he was definitely correct.
Well, I'm certainly glad that you said yes, and I'll say amen that you said yes, because I see the work that you're doing. But going into that field, becoming the RN, Dr. Regina, you went a step further. You said the youth need to get involved, the youth need to learn. How did that come about? How did that unfold?
It's been a desire of mine really since I was in
Okay.
Do not disturb is now on. Sorry about that. It's been a desire of mine since I was probably about 31 working on my undergrad. I really want to call it train up a child in the way they should go because oftentimes kids need additional training. We need help in the community with our children. But unfortunately, we don't always have people in place. So as we was talking, I think about that song, We Are the World. And it talks about teach the children, lead them, help them to guide them to where they should be going to. And then the Bible talks about train up a child in the way they should go. And when they get older, they will not depart. But unfortunately, we don't always have support in the community to train them up. So my thought process was, how can I help? So in 2011, 2012, give or take, I had the vision for Train Up a Child, never did anything with it. I played around with the idea again in 2016, but I felt like, I was just a nurse and I felt like I didn't have the resources to do it. Finally, in 2022, I was driving home from a church convention and the Holy Ghost said, now it's time. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he began to outline the steps to take to move in that direction. And it's been 2 years, and we have had the privilege of interacting with over 10,000 students. So it has been an amazing journey.
Wow. Wow. That's a lot of students, and we still have thousands more to reach, right? Teach one, reach one, teach one. In that very first Health Expo that you did, what was your thought while you were there and seeing everything unfold at that event?
It was very stressful. I'm a very transparent person. It was really stressful, to be honest with you. But watching the students walk out of there with a smile on their face, able to answer questions about healthcare careers, it was simply amazing to know that my organization, my team, had a hand in that. They were able to learn about being more than just a doctor or a nurse. They were able to learn about a radiology technician. They were able to learn about other career paths, and it was amazing. Even finances.
Right? I mean, I actually felt that, and I wasn't really involved like that, obviously, as your team member, but I got that gratification just seeing what you created and your team had to offer for the youth to go from booth to booth.
Correct.
But this has a lot to do with you, Dr. Regina. In growing up and now going into adulthood, we want to know who Dr. Regina is, right, folks? Because she is the shero here on this show today. What obstacles or struggles did you have to go through, if any? Because, see, you're offering something that you may have not been privy to, right? So tell us a little bit about that.
The ironic thing is I had a support system. I was not a latchkey kid. My mother, for the first 11 years of my life, she was a stay-at-home mom. My stepfather took care of the bills and so forth. And I spent the weekends and sometimes Monday through Friday with my father's side of the family. And it was amazing, but what I did not have was a support system to really tell me to dream big, or a support system to tell me you can do it. They talked about college, but what else can I do? What was I going to go there and do? My father, once I got in high school, was talking about it, but prior to then, it wasn't a true vision carved out for me. So I think that's one of the reasons why it's really passionate, something that I do and I love doing. Also because I feel like we got to begin to discuss these things younger with the youth. Third grade is a great time to talk about what do you need to do to go to college. How do you need to go to college? Money is available for you to go to college because it begins to set a vision. So as they get into high school, when they want to veer off into other things, they're now thinking about, okay, so I do have a future, I do have hope. And sometimes we need to make sure that our children have hope, that there is a vision for them. My father just said, be a nurse anesthetist. I didn't become a nurse anesthetist, but I did become a nurse. So it was because of that one simple conversation. And I do believe this definitely should have happened a little bit sooner.
Wow. And third grade is a very important grade, families, viewers, educators. In all around that third grade, we have to really be mindful of what they're learning or not learning, right? And I thank you for bringing that up because it is a very important grade. in so many levels, folks, that math and reading are very key
Correct.
to their educational world. And obviously, those two go together with the fields that you're talking about in healthcare.
It
Um,
does.
and obviously, you saw that you didn't have what you're offering now, then, right?
Right. Hmm.
So I know that parents and educators are grateful
Thank
for
you.
bringing all of this to the forefront and saying, "Look it, your
Right.
students can learn all of this." So I thank you once again. You are the shero in the healthcare community because, hey, when I was growing up, none of that was out there. None of those
Mhm.
things are available to us to even say there's choices. I thought it was just a
Correct.
nurse or doctor,
Correct.
right? Um, but you're showing, even educators probably hadn't thought about it either. Teachers are in their
Correct. Mhm.
zone, right?
Correct.
What does healthcare really look like?
Oh, that's a great question. To be honest with you, it has changed from when I first started. When I first started back in 2006, I feel like it was more patient focused. It was
Mm,
all about the patient. And it's funny as I talk about this now, I recall the nurses that had been nurses for 20 years when I had just started telling me the same thing. But now we have a lot of technology, and I don't feel that sometimes that lends to the best bedside interaction because you documenting information as opposed to having the true conversation. So I definitely believe that healthcare has definitely changed. It's more technology focused, and it's a good thing and a bad thing, but it's not the same when it was paper and pen.
I'm sure it's not. And so, just like we think originally what healthcare looks like, you have truly brought the whole scope of what that healthcare looks like. And so, let's envision that we are
Mm.
there. Tell us what we are to expect when you do that expo. What do we what are we going to look at? What does it look like?
Wonderful. Wonderful. So when you're at the expo, we have it divided into three sections. The first section is about career opportunities. So you walk around, you meet and greet different professionals that are actually working in the field, in the healthcare field. The second section is your life skills, meaning you have normally have Edgewater Health there. You have Centure Bank and other organizations that are not directly tied to healthcare, but yet and still are in healthcare because my thought process is once you start making $100,000, do you know how to manage your money? So it's really
Mhm.
have been really important for us to bring in Chase. We also have bring in Edgewater Health because unfortunately life happens and you need to be taught how to cope when life happens. So
Mhm.
that's really important. And then we also have the very final section, which is our simulation section, and that's the hands-on section where they walk around, they touch everything. And to date, we have been very fortunate to have all the universities and colleges in the area a part of the expo. So it really have been a blessing.
It has. I mean, even I, folks, at this young age, 37 and holding, I
Right.
learned some things myself. Being in the expo and going from booth to booth, from vendor to vendor, from the phlebotomist to the
Right.
X-ray technician
Correct.
to, I mean, I even saw, I forget who that company was, but it's where the kids had these goggles, but it's so that they learn what it feels like to be drunk at a
Correct.
younger age.
Mhm.
Forget what that was called, but I didn't get a chance to go try them. So the next expo, I'm gonna, if they're there, I want to get the feel. I mean, I know what it feels like, folks, when you're drinking, you feel that.
I love
But
it.
when you're not, when you don't have that, uh, um, when you don't consume the alcohol, and you will still want to feel like that, put those things on, right? So it was funny to see the kids do that. But after interviewing them and what they said, as I was going on Facebook Live, what they were saying, it's like we don't want to feel like that.
Correct.
I think that's great. And maybe people may not think, well, what does that have to do with healthcare?
Right. So to be honest with you, you brought up a good point. The organization you're referring to is called Safe Kids. They're affiliated with Franciscan Hospital, but it's really about prevention. I think sometimes as adults, we react as opposed to try to prevent it from happening. And that's the purpose really of the expo. It's not that life's not going to happen. It's not that shootings won't occur, but the question is what can we do to try to limit the number of these things. And one of the things is exposure, giving them something to do, giving them a vision. And that's what it really goes back to, giving them some hope. And that's the most important part about the expo, them walking away, learning about something, them having some direction in life, them being able to walk up to a counselor and IUN counselor, for example, and talk with her about what can I do to go to your school? Are you offer that program so close to my home? And I think that's really important.
Yeah. And the fact that it all ties together,
It
right?
does.
When
Mhm.
life happens, I need to know where I got to go. Who do I
Correct.
reach out to,
Mhm.
right? Or I'm about to lose my mind, and
Correct.
is there someone I can go and talk to, right? Just reach
Correct.
that person. And so you're putting it all out there from all scopes of fields as far as you know, you're like saying it's not nurses, it's not doctors only. It's a technician, X-ray
Correct.
technician,
Mhm.
phlebotomist. I
Mhm.
mean, we got was it IB Tech? They had the dummy laying there.
Yes. Mhm.
I mean, it's almost surreal. So this is great, but
Mhm.
because of who you are, the Shiro,
Yes.
you said, let me take it a step further. We
Mhm.
have to raise some funds, but while we
Yes.
raise funds, we have things to do within those events. You have a couple of things coming up. Tell us
I
a little bit
do.
about
Yeah. So, we actually have our fundraising banquet, and it's called "The Future of Healthcare is Now." That's the theme for it, and the purpose of that, the name says it. We have to begin to think about what will the future of healthcare look like. Who's going to take care of us? And of course, that's our youth. We have to begin to direct and help them to and encourage them to become healthcare professionals. And we have our fundraising gala is October 17th at the Avalon Manor. Is October 17th at the Avalon Manor in Maryville, Indiana. We have two components of it. Is the first component is the VIP networking event, and then the second component is the actual gala. It is a masquerade theme, and it is a dress to impress, or should I say, a black tie gala. So please come out in your pretty mask. I don't want to. I want to be able to guess who you are. I want to be intrigued the entire night. Like I was talking to Eve, I didn't realize that was Eve the entire night just for the excitement.
that. Yeah. Now, you have this talk that you're bringing about, right? And that's together but separate.
It is. Mhm.
Want to talk about that too? Because that sounds like that fire chat sounds like people really need to come in together and have that heart to heart talk. Or is that the chat you're talking about?
That's the chat I'm talking about. So that's our VIP networking event. And that is the regional CEOs are coming together from different areas to talk about the future of healthcare. So it was very well put together. We have the CEO of St. Mary's Hospital, Powers Healthcare, Janice Riba, who's going to talk about the hospitals, bringing a hospital perspective. We have Denise Dillard, who has from Northwest Indiana Health Disparities, Eve's Girl, that's going to talk about disparities in healthcare because we definitely need to ensure that everyone is represented within healthcare. Then we also have Adam from United Way. He's the CEO, and he will be talking about funding because they have what's called the Level Up program that can assist with funding. Because oftentimes you're thinking, I want to go back to school, even if you're an adult. How can I fund this? So it's something that Adam and his team has put together. It's called the Level Up program. It's really very nice and it's easy to get into it if you qualify for it. He will be sharing more details about that. We have Oxo from Ivy Tech, Chancellor in Valpo, and he's talking about education, healthcare education. Ivy Tech put out the most nurses in the state of Indiana. So we need to have a lot of conversation about like how do we create more slots in a nursing program? Are there spots? What can we do to go further and get into the program? What kind of guidance is there even in high school? And then we have Dr. Janet Seabrook from Community Health Net, and she will be discussing all things medical because she's a medical doctor. So she get to bring in her experience having her organization, Community Health Net, but also her bedside experience. So this is going to be an event that you do not want to miss.
Sounds like a conversation that must take place. I know that there's been other events or forums where we bring medical people together, but I don't know if they've already pre programmed some things. but you are bringing all fields together because they all work together,
We
right?
all work together. And
And
it's
that's
funny,
awesome.
and it's funny, Eve, somebody said, well, is it going to be about patient care since it's healthcare? And I was very candid with them. I said, we have to realize that healthcare does not just start with the patient. It's having staff there, a hospital system. So if you do need sick and you get sick and you need to go to the ER, what would that look like? So it's really important, and we start the conversation about healthcare. How do we begin to get kids in there? How do we begin to get kids of all racial backgrounds into healthcare? How do we encourage them? And then the real question is, who's going to take care of you? And
Mm.
that's what the future of healthcare is now. Gala is all about, is making sure that you have someone to take care of you and not a robot.
Uh, talk about AI, robot.
Right.
That's another conversation to have. How is that going to affect patient care, health care altogether, right?
Right.
Um, Now we're going to talk to somebody that doesn't know us personally or doesn't even feel our heartbeat
Correct.
personally, right? That's a little scary, folks. But this fire chat, is there going to be a limit to number of attendees? How's that going to work?
It's only 50 attendees. That's it. It's going to be very intimate. We're doing our best to keep it very intimate. So you definitely want to get your tickets by going to Eventbrite, but it will definitely be limited to only 50 ticket holders.
Well, you all need to hurry up and RSVP. October sounds like it's far. It is not. It's next month already.
It
We're in
is.
September, people. I mean, here we are in May and June thinking, oh, it's still ways. It's not until October. We'll wait till then. Well, we're
Right.
already in September. Don't wait any longer.
One
You can
way.
also go to victoryforkids.net. And as she said, you can find it on the Eventbrite. What should they type on Eventbrite? Victory for Kids or Gala
Yes.
or
Victory
Masquerade
for
Gala?
Wonderful. Victory for Kids with the number 4 and Kids with the Z. And then we have a second component of the actual gala. And that's going to be amazing, because once we begin to talk about healthcare, the question is, how do we get students in that career path? So we have Dr. Peggy Buffington from the School City of Hobart. We have IUN's College of Health and Human Services Dean, Dr. Crystal Shannon. And then we also have Audra Peterson from Porter County Career and Technical Education, talking about students and the future of healthcare, because we have to ensure that not only we make sure that they have finances for it, we make sure that they have a pathway to go into internships in a hospital, but also that we discuss the importance of them pursuing healthcare careers even while they're in high school and younger.
Wow. And I'm so glad that I see that you have kids that have been going to all the programs and I've seen them grow, right?
Yes.
I'm looking at one young man, I just can't remember his name right now, but they will see him on your website. And that's
Yes.
because obviously he has interest and he is being invested in, but he's
Yes.
also investing in that time to learn the ropes, to learn the
Yes.
different fields that we
Mhm.
have choices. Kids have
Correct.
choices, and you don't give them the choices. You wait until they get to high school or not.
Right.
Then they get to college. What choices are we really giving them, right? Are we really setting them up for failure, folks?
Correct. Yeah, you're referring to Carlo Armstrong. He's
Yes,
been with
yes.
us since 2022, very first camp student. He was with us over the summertime as a camp counselor, and it was amazing to have him. He's a sophomore, I believe, at Maryville High School. When I talk with his mother, I believe he's in the top 10% of his class. So he's really amazing. Words cannot describe him, but yes, he definitely is intrigued by the medical field and he's enjoying himself. Yes.
Wonderful. I'd like to invite him to our other podcast and get to hear his viewpoint and how he's growing and why he's still there, right? Obviously, there's something there that he sees it's worth it, that's valuable for his own upbringing as far as
Mhm.
professionally. And going into that field. So we got to hear from our youth, right? They got to be
Yes.
heard too. We can ask all these adults everything, but we
Right.
forget that our youth also have
Mhm.
a voice because they may look at it differently than you and I, Dr. Regina. Their perspective looks different than ours. And they would know more of what they need than what we think they need, right?
You're
Um,
right.
So let him know I'm looking forward to interviewing
Yeah.
him as well, because we want to hear what our youth think. As I was asking them in the summer camp that you were there,
Mhm.
I was actually interviewing some of the youth that were volunteering there. They're what were you call them, coaches, or what is that what you call them? I forget. They were part
I
of your
call them
program, but they were
I call 'em
students,
my fun leaders.
your fun leaders, right?
Yes. Mhm.
And just to hear how they think about the program and what they think of you and your team. If they were saying that of me, I mean, that is heartfelt, and that's saying I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, right?
Correct.
And
Mhm.
so kudos to you and to the youth that have helped you through the summer camps. Tell us
Yes.
real quick. Um, you have the expo coming up too, right?
Yes, I have 2 coming up. This is the very first time we'll be doing it in LaPorte County, but we have the expo coming up in Porter County for October 8th, 9th, and 10th. It will be at Doolin Falls in Chesterton, Indiana. Again, October 8th, 9th, and 10th, Doolin Falls at Doolin Falls in Chesterton, Indiana. So it's from 9 a.m. until 1:30 p.m. We're expecting over 2,000 youth. So definitely
Wow.
please talk with your child's teacher, I'm sorry, and find out how they can sign up for it and be present. The one in LaPorte County will be at LaPorte Civic Center December 2nd, 3rd, and 4th from 9 a.m. to 1:30. Both can be registered. You can register for both on our website, www.victoryforkids.net. And I want to go back to the gala just for a little
Yes,
bit.
yes,
If,
please.
if you have a child that's in a CTE program, please have them to reach out to their CTE director and find out if they can attend, if you would like them to attend the fireside chat. We do have 10 tickets that someone has donated for the youth, and they make sure I said for the youth. So please definitely reach out to the CTE director. If you're in Porter County, that would be Audra Peterson. If you in the Crown Point, South Lake County, that would be Tim Summers. Maryville High School, that would be Phelps, Mr. Phelps. And then in Gary, I'm not for sure who the CTE director is, but Michigan City, you can reach out to Catherine Broadneck. She will be able to help you with that. But please, we only have 10 tickets. Please definitely reach out to your CTE director as quick as possible to secure your seat.
Wow, I think that would be huge to have the youth present there, to plant seeds into them, right? Hearing it
Yes.
from the experts. You hear
Mhm.
from an expert and not from a book, not that you
Mhm.
read it in an article or saw it on TV. It's you having them right there, right then
Correct.
and there, that you can
Mhm.
actually have them ask questions. So that's great. To whoever donated those tickets, thank you so much. I think that's huge. And we need to get our children, our youth, our teenagers involved more than ever,
Yes, we
because
do.
we have to teach them how to think for themselves and make
Correct.
choices for them. You
Correct.
know what? I wanted my daughter to be a psychologist.
Mm.
She's in therapy. She did go and got her bachelor's in psychology
Okay.
and worked through her master's. Has not
Mhm.
completed that yet, but she's in that field. She just quite put it there. Mom, I'm not going to be a doctor. What
Okay.
parent doesn't want a doctor in their family, right?
Correct.
But we got to allow them to grow into
Mm.
where the field they want to take, and not have them live arguing, right?
I have
Although you
Mhm.
followed your father's footsteps and
Mhm.
you actually said, this is good. I like
Right.
this,
Mhm.
right?
Well, is your daughter in healthcare?
She is in healthcare. Yeah,
And I think Mhm.
she works with the mental health department for the youth.
Perfect. I think that's the point that I want people to understand. They may come into healthcare and you may desire them to do one thing, but they may end up in something else. There's so many careers in healthcare that we don't even
Mhm.
talk about. We
Mhm.
don't even discuss mental health techs. And I think that's an excellent example of training up a child. She didn't go astray. She's still in healthcare. She still chose to use it in a different manner than
Right.
what you had originally suggested, but she's there and she's able to help the workforce.
Amen. Amen. And with that, Dr. Regina, real quick, one more time, those events, time, location, and I know that we can find some of those at the Eventbrite.
Yes, ma'am. So we have the fireside, I'm sorry, we have our masquerade gala October 17th. We have two components to it. We have the very first component is the VIP fireside chat. Only 50 tickets for that particular event, and it's only $50. We have regional CEOs such as Adam from United Way. We have Janice Ryba from Powers Health, formerly known as St. Mary's Healthcare. We have Oxo from Ivy Tech, the chancellor. We have Denise Diller from Northwest Indiana Healthcare Disparities, and also Dr. Janet Seabrook from Community Health Net. And then the second component to that day, or should I say evening, is our actual gala. Black tie, mask, intrigue, mystery, just some good old fun. And we have Dr. Peggy Buffington, and we also have Dr. Crystal Shannon from IUN. And then we have Audra Peterson for Porter County Career and Technical Education. And Dr. Peggy Buffington is the superintendent of School City of Hobart.
Wonderful. Well, Dr. Regina, I'm ready to wear a mask, but I got to go find one.
Yes.
So, folks, you guys heard it here from our hero on the face of a hero, Dr. Regina Beard, RN. She's a registered nurse. She loves what she does because she does what she loves. And so should you. And open up the doors to our youth so that they can learn and grow and be who they are meant to be and not what we want them to be, right?
Correct.
So thank you, Dr. Regina, for coming on this show, for being our hero. And of course, you guys have seen on the bottom of the screen the website Victory for Kids with a Z and the number 4.net, so you can donate or be part of. So visit that website and get some insight. And also, guess what? Sign up and get that newsletter. So that way you stay informed, right?
Yes.
And never have to wonder, when was that? What was that? What are they doing? So especially our educators, get connected and stay connected in the region and beyond with Dr. Regina Beard and Victory for Kids, Victory for Training. I mean, she's got a slew of things that she's offering for adults as well. We can talk about that on another show. But right now, we just wanted to focus on our hero, Dr. Regina Beard, and all the great things. Thank you so much as well. We appreciate you and all that you do in the community and for the community. And with that, folks, we got to go. Bye. Time flies. We're having fun. Until next time, thank you for listening, watching here on the Face of a Hero show. Until then, we'll see you. Thank you, Dr. Regina. You're welcome. Thank you. All right, folks. Guess what? It's time to go. Until next time.